for a destination. I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. So I try sometimes when I lie in bed just to get it all out that's in my head, and I say, little peculiar. And I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real high and I take a deep breath. What's going on? And I say, hey, yeah. Steve, we live? Steve, we live? I know you're fed up. Life won't let up for us. All they talk about is what's been going down, what's been messed up for us. But when I look around, I see blue skies, I see butterflies for us. Listen to the sound and lose it to sweet music and dance with me, 'cause there is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. Pick your diamond, pick your pearl. There is beauty in the world. Whoa. We need more loving, we need more money. They say change is gonna come like the weather. They say forever, and they say, baby, in between I see blue skies, I see butterflies for us. Baby, no some and lose it. It's sweet music and dance with me, 'cause there is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world. Shake your booties, boys and girls. There is beauty in the world. Baby, in between I see blue skies, I see butterflies for us. And listen to the sound of sweet music and lose it and dance with me. Sing, there's beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. There is beauty in the world, so much beauty in the world. Happy Sunday, everybody. Indeed, there is.
Good morning. There, now I'm on. Good morning, everybody. And I want to say especially good morning to Admiral Bob, who I know is watching us this morning because he wasn't able to make it here. So good morning, Bob. Also to Howard and Sherry, who loyally watch us every Sunday up in Oregon. Hello to you guys. And to everybody else in Oregon and California and anywhere else that anybody is watching, good morning. Thank you for being with us, because I know this is a very special day, and I'm just appreciate to you guys because I know where you would all rather be right now and what you would be celebrating. Oh, you're teasing me. You're teasing. No, not that. No, it's one of the most auspicious days. It's a very auspicious birthday for
Tolkien?
2 people. Not Tolkien.
No?
Good, but you're close. You're in the neighborhood. September 22nd, the big party, The Ring, Frodo and Bilbo's birthday.
Hey,
You guys have got to pry it out of me, huh?
I get points, right?
Good heavens. Good heavens. Good heavens. Anyway. Now you know where I'd rather be, but actually there's no other place that I'd rather be than here. So anyway, I'm happy to be with you. We got a couple things. We got a lot going on this fall. Yes, it is Mabon today, autumn. So yes, this is the day at 5:39, was it this morning? The sun went into Libra. So yeah, we are now in autumn. So I'll talk a little bit more about that because that's a big deal. But it also just kind of ramps up some things that are going to be going on. We got some really exciting things. Day of the Dead is getting booked out pretty well. We're going to do some fun things for Day of the Dead coming in, and we've got Jimmy and Enrique, or just
Enrique.
Just Enrique,
November
as if
3rd.
that's not enough. Yeah,
3rd, yes.
November 3rd, which is literally the day after the Day of the Dead. So that's happening. We've got some other things coming down the line. We have a class starting on Zoom for October 8th and 15th. This is a new member class, but anyone and everyone is welcome to it. In those 2 weeks, we'll kind of explain the principles of New Thought and our organization, our history, what we kind of stand for, who we are, what we're all about. We'll talk about this center and myself and my philosophy as it fits into our larger denomination and who we are as a community, what we stand for, and all that. And it's a good way, and it gives an opportunity to become a member, a shareholder of our community, which is sort of a big deal, because of how we govern ourselves, and a lot coming down with that too. So that's happening. What? There's a sign-up sheet in the other room for that. Also, the gift store's got some cool things going on, so don't leave without popping your head in there. I see Karen and Dick have brought bread. I'm assuming that Ann and Kurt are in the kitchen. Ann's not here. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. A lot of birthdays going on, yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, okay. So we've got Jim's class, Well-Being and the Tao, Sundays at 9 a.m. To 10 a.m. So that's happening. We have Paul doing meditation on Wednesdays at 12:30. That's always happening. And let's see what else is going on there. Gift shop, prayer ministry, prayer. So please do not leave without prayer. There are different ways to pray. We pray every Friday morning as a practitioner corps, which is lovely and great fun. And so there's prayer. If you'd like prayer, please fill out a prayer request card. We do pray for them during the week and then collectively all together. You can see any one of the practitioners here today, Terry, Andrea, Paul, or Liz, and ask them for prayer. They'd be happy to pray with you, or you can go into the prayer circle about 10 minutes after service. So all that's going on. And did you know, just total nerd that I am, but you know where my mind has been all weekend, is yesterday was the 87th anniversary of the publication of The Hobbit.
Birthdays everywhere.
Birthdays everywhere, celebrations everywhere. There's just lots going on, yeah. So, yeah, and it's autumn.
Hey, you gotta have passion.
You gotta have passion. You gotta have a passion. I'm gonna talk about that today too, about what we love. But being the first day of autumn, being that we are moving energetically into this new season, the question of the day is this: what's on the threshing floor? So, if we were being good, I don't know, good, whatever the case may be, if we were living in a more agrarian society, the harvest would be coming in and the wheat would be on the threshing floor. The threshing floor is where you separate the wheat from the chaff, what to keep and what to invest, and what to let the wind just blow away. Have you ever seen threshing going on, by the way? It's a very cool thing. What they do is they get these large baskets and they put the wheat in them and they shake it up and they throw it in the air. And what is substantial stays. And what is perennial, the chaff, blows away within the wind. So what is it then that we are throwing into the wind to let it blow away? What is on the threshing floor? You want to chime in on that, Liz?
Well, okay. What to throw? I'll look at it that way. This last week I was more conscious of my shadow. My shadow meaning aspects, Carl Jung defined it as parts of us that we really don't want to look at and that we form at a pretty early age of, aspects for our survival at that time but no longer serve us. So I was conscious of really letting go of some things. And then the reverse of that, what I was celebrating or holding on to was joy in a childlike feeling. Quite a contrast of the things that I love in my life that I feel passionate about and the things that, I don't think continue to serve me.
What about you, Jim? You want to weigh in?
That's a tough one. It seems like it's an ongoing process where there's always things I'm just constantly trying to sort out. One of the other passions I have besides Taoism is Stoicism, and it focuses a lot on what things do we have control over and what things do we not. I tend to lean towards maybe nothing that we have control over, and so we have to figure out how do we let go of all the rest of it, and because you can't do anything about it anyway. Yeah.
You want to chime in?
Yes.
Oh, you got your own.
Yeah, I've got mine. Look at
Very
that.
nice.
So I think in this last month, for me, it's been about the self-protective timidness. I don't know if anyone can relate, but it might seem odd as a performer that I've spent my life performing in front of people, but I was raised in a certain way that made me have this in my personal life, in my general life. When I'm not on stage, I can be timid, and it gets in the way of productivity, gets in the way of success and networking, and it's just something I've really been looking at and unraveling. And this last week I felt like, okay, I'm ready for a new chapter where that timidness isn't a part of my psyche.
Fabulous. That's a good thing to let go. Beautiful. I'm going to share too, and it's going to sound strange, but we had a lovely time last week. We were out at the beach and did a lot of walking and thinking, and something hit me. So what I want to let go of is a story that isn't necessarily true. And the story that I've been telling myself is, I've been a minister here for 20 years. It's 20 years in. Maybe I need to look at that. What am I? All blah 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 blah. Maybe I'm burnt out. Maybe I need to take care of something. And really, when I looked at it, when I prayed about it, when I journaled about it, it's not burnout. It's grief. I have been in a deep grief since the pandemic because what I thought ministry was completely turned up on its head. And I'm not wanting to get rid of that because, what a silly thing to think, just get rid of grief like that. You don't. And maybe even shouldn't, because grief is evidence of love. And but to sit with that. So it's not so much wanting to throw that into the wind, but it's really about throwing into the wind the story I told myself so that I wasn't facing the grief. Does that make sense? Yeah. That's a nice little heavy thought here at the very beginning of service, cheery little thing.
Truth.
But it was so liberating. It was so liberating. It's like, this all makes sense now. The disengagement, the this, the that, the sense of exhaustion, the tiredness, the, whatever the case, the confusion, brain, name it all. And it was like, yeah, you got all the symptoms right. You just diagnosed yourself completely wrong because you were buying into someone else's story. So anyway, how about you guys? Anything on the threshing floor for anybody else? Yeah, Sherry. Oh, could we have a mic runner, by the way? We only have one mic today. Paul, run down to Stephen. He's going to give you a mic. Oh no, never mind. Liz was sitting on it.
Test.
Steve's coming with another. He's coming with another.
Okay. In the meantime, go to that one. Hey, wait.
You're the runner.
I've always been a very cautious person. I grew up with very cautious family, Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not coming down to you.
Okay. And always kind of afraid of trying new things, and if I didn't do it well, then I was just like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And we recently got e-bikes at Christmas, and they're much heavier than a regular bicycle. I hadn't ridden one in 35 years, and fell off right off the bat and hurt my ribs. And I'm thinking, oh, should I be doing this? Am I too old to be doing this craziness? And we persisted and wound up going on our vacation and rode our e-bikes at the Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, and Zion. And I'm like, I have held on to all this fear of doing new and exciting things, and that it's time to let it go and just jump in head first or feet first and just try stuff and have fun. So.
Anything else? Anybody else throw anything into the wind? Nothing, huh? Yeah, I knew there was another one out there.
I guess I've been struggling since COVID as well. Got handed divorce papers. I realized I needed to get sober. Lost my children. Wasn't able to see them for a year and a half. So I was really depressed for a good deal of time. And what I'm throwing into the wind is the longing of what I had, the longing of my girls being small, the longing of coming home to them every day. Dad's home, Dad's home. And what I finally was able to throw into the wind is the longing, not necessarily the memories, but the longing for those times because they're over. And what I am keeping in the basket is moving forward, and what I have with them now has not been easy, but this church and fellowship that I do attend weekly has been a great help. So thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. In that case, take it away, Liz.
Good morning. There we go. Hi. I'm Liz. I'm your practitioner today, and I'm really, really happy to be here with all of you. So many of you I have prayed with and talked with and hold you in my heart. And Hilltop is just a special place for me. It's a place that, through Reverend Guy, that changed my life when I turned a different direction and wanting to become a practitioner, and studying for that, how it opened me up to so much, to a life of gratitude, a life of consciousness, a life of change. And as I get older, I don't want to be narrow. As you said, Sherry, I want to experience all of those wonderful times, and the tools that I get here to do that really help me with aging, help me with passion, to feel alive and to feel a difference in my life because of my love for God and Spirit. So let's start today with a prayer. And as we just center ourselves in this beautiful, quiet moment, we reflect and we know that there is power in numbers, that when two or more are gathered, the power of our energy connects. And the words and the music and the fellowship just become so much more beautiful and brighter. They certainly fill my life, and I know that they fill your life too. I know that we come here for community, number one, for like-mindedness and sharing with each other. This is the beauty of Hilltop, the beauty of who we are, and the preciousness of this place, this holy place called Hilltop. And I am very, very grateful for all of you for the ability to hear these words and to find these tools to make my life a little bit brighter and higher, to handle what life comes our way, the ups and downs, so that we appreciate what life can teach us. And in those dark moments of dark night of the soul, and once we get through it, we realize that we grow from those opportunities. So rather than welcoming them, we deal with them. And we find a way to be that light, not only to ourselves, but to others. And it's a place right now in our world that we are so needed to bring unity where there's separation, to bring kindness where there's fear and anger, and just to bring love rather than fear. So with these words in this beautiful place, I release these words into the infinite mind of God, knowing that they're not only heard, but they're done. And with deep, deep gratitude, together we say, and so it is. And the reading for today, coming from the theme of planting seeds of intentions and what to sow and what to throw, is one of my favorite authors, transcendentalists, brilliant minds, Ralph Waldo Emerson. This is my wish for you. Comfort on difficult days, smiles when sadness intrudes, rainbows to follow the clouds, laughter to kiss your lips, sunsets to warm your heart, hugs when spirits sag, beauty for your eyes to see, friendships to brighten your being, faith so that you can believe, confidence for when you doubt, courage to know yourself, patience to accept the truth, love to complete your life, and so it is. So carrying those words or any other feelings in your heart, we'll go into this 3-minute meditation. as we return to the sanctuary, renewed. And so it is.
It's not clear, but I'm just like you. I've been over here pointing fingers too. But if you want change, you gotta do what's good. Gotta carry that water, chop that wood. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. Everything I do is part of this earth. Step by step I'm gonna add some worth. We can feel afraid but you can't deny it. We feel at ease when we help each other try it. If you want change you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. Yeah, why? Because we're all together. Yes, we're all together. No matter where you're coming from, we're all together. It might sound cheesy, but it's true, all together. We could get together and sing these songs, but it's gonna take more to right these wrongs. I'm gonna know my history, I'm gonna do myself a favor, treat myself better and trust my neighbor. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. Because we're all together. Yes, we are, we're all together. Sing it loud now. Sing, we're all together. Feel that oxytocin. We're all together. Thank you, everyone. Please welcome our own Dr. Reverend Guy Williams on this birthday of Frodo and Bilbo.
When you're a nerd, you don't realize you're a nerd. Until it's reflected back to you, like you're the only one in the room that gets excited about something, and everybody else is like, I get it. But rest assured, we're all nerds at some level, because there's something that really turns you on that I probably wouldn't have a clue about. Sports are thinking that way. You know, you don't grow up there. I'm not going to go there. Because I have to talk to you. And it's going to get interesting. So, sometimes when we dream, our dream isn't necessarily ours. There are indigenous cultures in which when a person dreams, they share the dream with their family or their community because they believe that the dream has information for someone else. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my dream. I feel like I'm really loud. I'm okay? So anyway, this morning, I woke up to a dream. Now, what was interesting about the dream is I woke up chanting a mantra, and it's a mantra that I know, and I'll share with you a little bit about that. But the dream was this. I was in a community of people, and there's a couple of you that are in this room that were in that community of people. I will not share who they are because I respect privacy to that level, certainly in my dream world. But part of what was going on in the dream was we were getting ready to share a meal, which of course is a sacramental thing. Something powerful is happening when you share a meal, especially in a dream. And I was asked to give a blessing, which is not uncommon for me to do. And then at the end of the blessing, I began saying the mantra from the Heart Sutra, Gate, gate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. Gate, gate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. And of course, it's like, why am I chanting that as I'm coming to? It's kind of cool waking up chanting a mantra. And I know the mantra and I know the meaning of the mantra, but I wanted to be clear about some things about the mantra. And so when I got up, I went online to plumvillage.com, which is Thich Nhat Hanh's community, because it's a Buddhist mantra. And it comes from the Heart Sutra, which is this beautiful, poetic conversation between this bodhisattva and his disciple. And at the end of this discourse that he's giving, he says, and there is this great mantra that will eliminate all obstacles and bring peace and joy into your life. Gate, gate, paragate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. And what it means basically is gate means gone. Gate, gate, gone, gone. Paragate, really gone. Parasam gate, gone over the shore, gone. Bodhi swaha. And bodhi is enlightenment. It's a noun. It's a state of being. And swaha is one of those interesting Sanskrit words like amen or voila or whatever the case may be. It's kind of given honorifically at the end of a prayer of blessing. So essentially what the mantra is saying is gone, gone, really gone, to the far shore gone is enlightenment. And as I sat with that, I thought about that, and it kind of reminds me now of what Lee was just singing. Chop wood, carry that water, because in a sense, what this mantra is elucidating is what is often spoken in the wisdom of Harley Davidson, which is, it's not the destination, it's the journey that counts. It's not about being any place. It's about where are you in this moment and how is the journey going for you today? In other words, how shall we live in this moment? So I thought about that, and as I was journaling this morning, I thought, that's essentially the whole thing about the Gospels, because at the end of the Jesus story, there is this idea that Jesus is going to return and restore everything, and everything is going to be hunky-dory. And people were going to live to see this day, except they all started dying. And so they kind of had to readjust what the story was, what's going on. And it's the same thing with the Buddha. It's the same thing with Krishna. It's the same thing whenever an avatar walks the earth, that they will eventually leave and leave us, and they leave us the Dharma, the teaching, the jewel itself. And it's not about waiting, it's about living and how we live. We chop wood, we carry water, we do the things that we do with the intentions of how we do them, and we practice them in the way that we can. And so so just consider this, and maybe quietly say this mantra to yourself, just to consider it. Just so, say quietly to yourself. I don't want you chanting it out unless you feel so moved, then you may. But the mantra is gate, gone. Gate, gone. Paragate, really gone. Parasam gate, over and beyond. Bodhi, enlightenment, swaha. Gate, paragate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. And so, what I love about that idea, what I want to share, and because I said this dream came to me, but I think it may be for someone else, is, are you waiting for something? Are you waiting for something? Or is it time to let that waiting go? Is it time to put on the threshing floor a longing for something that anchors us into the past, as opposed to an openness to what is going to form itself in newness. Is it time to let go of this idea of living timidly or afraid and to live life its fullest? As Frida Kahlo says, to suck the very marrow of life out of the bones, to really experience life. And so the question is, what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for someone's approval? Are we waiting for this? Are we waiting for that? I often used to hear this in New Thought. People would always say, I used to say it, frankly, as soon as this happens, then I'll do this. As soon as when I was much younger, as soon as I'm financially stable, I'll get my life together. Well, it doesn't work that way. Or as soon as I do this, that will happen. Or as soon as I have that, this will happen. As opposed to what's going on in this moment. What's happening here? What's happening now? And how do we do it? And I think about that again, in the season that we're embarking on. This is the season of autumn. And, there's, Joseph Campbell says something that I really love. It sticks with me so much, where he says that when we practice ritual, when we participate in ritual, we become part of the myth. And myths are that archetypal language in which we realize that there are times and seasons and patterns and things that are unfolding, that there is something within each and every one of us known as a soul, a beingness that knows, and knows beyond how we know, but knows, and that we're participating in something. One of the oldest ceremonies that used to go on would begin to happen this time of year, and it was called the Eleusinian Mysteries. That took place in a place called Eleusis in ancient Greece. And thousands of people went through this initiation. Plato did, Aristotle did, went through the Eleusinian Mysteries. And here's the interesting thing about those mysteries. We don't know what went on. We don't know what the ceremonies were. We're kind of figuring out that they were using ethogens, but we don't really know all of what it was. But we do know one thing, and that is anyone who went through the Eleusinian Mysteries no longer feared death. That's a powerful thing. That's a powerful thing, to no longer live your life out of fear. And it bespeaks it, right? Because again, part of the mysteries of this time of year is when you look externally. In Southern California, we have to look more metaphorically than literally, but literally nonetheless, we see evidence of the perennial nature of time itself. Leaves fall from trees. Animals begin to withdraw. Darkness seems to be overcoming light. There's a chill in the air. There's a darkness that is beginning to creep. Something is changing, and in the great wheel of the year, of the seasons, this is a turning point. It's also a time of balance, because today the sun and darkness are equal. Meaning there's equal light and equal sun before the balance turns. So there's something really powerful about this time. And our ancestors knew it. And they participated in it. And it brings, I think, the next part to what this dream was trying to tell me, which is that we celebrate together. That festivals, marking time, getting support, learning what to let go of and what to embrace, understanding our true nature is all done in community. That to be human is to be in relationship. And again, I think about that. I think about the ancient Hebrew poets. In the book of the poetry of creation in the book of Genesis. God is creating this, and God is creating this, and God is just delighted with itself in creating the sun and the moon and the oceans and vegetation and animals and in all these things. God is saying, and God said this was good, and God said this was good, and God said this is good, and then God creates the first human, and God doesn't say, this is good. But what for reasons to be revealed. But what he does, what this presence does say, it is not good for him to be alone. It is not good. And what we could take, if we read this thing metaphorically then, is it's not good for anyone to be alone. Now again, we find, choose your own adventure on how this looks. I'm an introvert and I need time alone like people need vitamin C. So this isn't about, never being with people or being antisocial or anything like that. It's really about finding the balance. But the other part of it is this, is that each and every one of us are intricately connected to everyone else and everything else for that matter. It's not even species bound, but that everything is interconnected to everything else. But at a more specific level, this community, because this was the dream for me. And this is the thing that I kind of want to share about that. And I want to kind of offer 3 insights that kind of came to me. This is one of those talks that was written at 5 in the morning. There was another talk that was written, and maybe you'll get that next week. But this is the one that came at 4 this morning, 5 this morning is when I started writing it. Is this. As I look at this community, as I participate in this community, as I sit with each and every one of you, and yes, I said earlier that there is grief. There is grief because when I went to the School of Ministry and when I became a minister 20 years ago, and what I saw as the trajectory of what ministry looked like and the life of a spiritual community looked like and what it's supposed to be, it all blew up during the pandemic. We weren't allowed to meet and do Sunday service. I wasn't not allowed, that's a weird way of saying it, but the ability to participate and to be able to pivot and to do the things that we did and how we stayed alive as a spiritual community and all of that. It required from me a new imagination of what I didn't have a signpost to follow. And I don't think I'm alone on this, because I think all of us at some time in our life are called on a path we're not prepared to take, and we don't know what to do. And I want to get into how we find guidance in that a little bit later. But that kind of set the stage. And so as I look at where we are today from where we are there, one of the things that I will share with you is this as a community, is that during the pandemic and after the pandemic, for a while, we were financially bleeding. We were spending more than we were taking in. Our books were in the red. We had a savings, but if you did the math, more went out that came in. That's not a sustainable way that any community can run. And what I want to say is, the divine presence as it sows itself in community allowed certain people with certain talents to step forward. Someone like Steve, someone like Andrea, someone like Liz on our board, and other people that stepped in, that their wisdom, their guidance, your support changed all that. We are not bleeding. We are not in the red. We are in the black. We put money away. Not a lot, but we're putting money away. We are financially stable. That's a really good place to be, and not a lot of spiritual communities can say that to be true. But it's because of you guys, and it's because of some very specific ones of you that participated, that stepped forward, that we began to look at it. And we had to pivot because we are no longer a spiritual community that finds its financial stability on just one revenue source. We had to diversify. We had to become something different than who we were. And that's not a bad thing, because now we find ourselves in another place where we get to be, and I think this year is what this year is going to be about, is how we begin to reimagine ourselves differently than where we were. And we step forward with a knowledge that those longings in our heart are valid, that the things that we're wanting are right and true, and that we are able to accomplish how we do these things. And I look at where we are, and if I was to say to myself, where would be the place, what was the cost of this? Well, the cost of that I think, is the process that we're in, and I'll just speak to myself personally, but all of us, I think, it seems to me that the world wants us to forget the last 5 years as if they never happened, and to pretend that nothing changed and everything is okay, and that we don't have to remember. But one of the things about all spiritual practices is remembering. Remember, 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 remember. In fact, and I lean on the Hebrew Bible a lot, I know that, but I know the language of that, and I think in church you'd rather hear me say that than talk about Bilbo and Frodo, although I could say the same thing. But the whole essence of spiritual practice and spiritual community is to remember, to remember, to remember. In fact, in the Hebrew Bible, it says, show kindness to the stranger, because remember, you were once a stranger in a strange land. Robert Heinlein. But to remember where you were and to show differently. And it brings us then to, how do we go forward? And what do we remember? And I think, to me, what this dream was telling me, what I want to offer to you as a community, is that we are being invited to live big, to live courageously, to live new. All of those things are true. But on all of them is, what does it mean to live generously? To live with generosity. Remembering what we were, when we were, what we have, who we are now, and what we can do with those gifts, and how do we live generously. I think another way of saying that is how do we live expansively? There's this line from the book of Proverbs that says something to the effect, to the person who lives generously, they live prosperously, because they're one and the same. And that had me thinking, in this mantra, enlightenment is a thing. It's not a verb, it's a thing. It's a place of being. In the mystery schools, the energy of this season is love, and it's a thing. And love, as it's written, comes from the Latin word liberare, which means to please. So what does it mean to love? It means to please. It means to desire good for the other. And I know for myself, as I was looking at this, as I was thinking about this last night, excuse me, please. As I was thinking about this last night, and I was thinking, how does one deal with grief? One deals with grief by living generously. One deals with grief by expanding. One lives with grief by not trying to pretend that it isn't there, because if metaphysics have taught anyone in this room anything, it is this. You cannot heal something, you cannot change something until you recognize it, until you name it. And until it's named, it can't be healed. It can't be transformed. And so, that was my own personal kind of thing, if I can speak personally today, is I kept trying to treat something that wasn't, I was trying to treat the symptoms of something that's cause was erroneous to me. Have you ever done that? Have you ever thought, I really need to get this act together, and realize that it was something deeper that was going on? We have all had that feeling intuitively, something isn't quite right, but until we name what it is, there's nothing we can do about it. And what I would offer then is this, there was a fear. There was a big fear about the viability of this community. I don't have that fear anymore. Nor do I fear the confidence that I have in myself, that I can't lead us to the next experience, or I can't participate in the leadership of where we're wanting to go. So it's not that anymore. And yet we find ourselves in this place, and maybe you do personally, where it says something is wanting to emerge, something is wanting to grow, something is wanting to happen. How do I move to that next place? And the way that we move is what you guys all named: to live expansively. To live expansively. And it doesn't mean that we throw caution to the wind, because we act prudently, we act virtuously. And part of living virtuously is to live prudently, to think in terms of what works. So I'm not advocating magical thinking at all. But what I'm advocating is expansive thinking, expansive living, generous with ourself. In my journaling today, it was like, okay, this is the first day of autumn. What if I committed myself to a year of self-love? Because, what do you do? And I don't mean to sound like a broken record on this whole thing, but grief, but it was like, maybe you're grieving too, so maybe this is for you as well. How do you deal with grief? You slow down and you take care of yourself. You don't take on new things much. But you realize that you need to nurture yourself. There's this wonderful I'm reading this book right now about this guy who went through ministry, and one of the things that he was saying is when he was in seminary and in high school, he worked in an automotive shop, and one of the things that he learned is that it's better for the car if you don't wait for the light to come on that says that you're low on fuel to fuel it, because all you're doing is taxing the fuel injective system or the fuel whatever the car has that turns on the light. Don't go there, because at that point you're doing damage. And if we find ourselves so exhausted, maybe we've gone too far. And maybe we look at the meter periodically and say, it looks like I'm about halfway there, or maybe I'm about a quarter low. That's the time. That's the time that we nurture ourselves, that we take care of ourselves. So my invitation to each and every one of us is to commit ourselves, or commit yourself to the degree that you want. What would be a year of self-care? What would that look like for each and every person here? What would self-care look like for you? And what would it look like to instigate a spiritual practice of daily self-care? And what would it be like to be in a community that thought that that was the most important thing that we could do for you, is to encourage and support self-care for you? And the only way that that will happen is if you are generous with yourself and share with that. In other words, wouldn't it be cool if we spent more time this year getting to know each other, what we love, what we're grieving, what we're longing for, what we're releasing, all of those things. And to know it is a community that has our back. You know, it's interesting when you read the Buddha Sutras and you read the Christian writings, there is a trope in both of them that is exactly the same, which is a stranger comes to a monk or a disciple and says, "What's with you guys? Why are you so different? What's so incredible about you?" And the answer is the same in both of them. Come and see. Come and see. Come and see. Can't tell you. Come and see. And then later on, it is written, see how they love each other. See how generous they are with each other. That's my vision this year for each and every one of us, is that we live generously with each other. And as a result, we become a generous community. And as we become a generous community, we fulfill our mission of who we are in the world. So, that was a ramble. That was a dream. Thank you.
Rev, you've been on fire.
Thank you.
I'm dancing back there to his words. I wanted to point out that being in this proximity with Reverend Guy for these years and his last few talks and that, there's such a superimposed possibility of putting the spiritual path and the artistic path are exactly the same. And it's never been more obvious to me. It's about discovering fearlessness. It's about dealing with gratitude and grief in the present moment simultaneously and generously sharing what you've learned by that. So I'm just seeing that's so obvious. And the 3 o'clock in the morning artistic, right? I mean, he's going to be a songwriter next thing I know. So thank you. All right. Little sing along to incorporate these thoughts.
I am the light, I am the light, I am the light in this world. I am the light, I am the light, I am the light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world. You are the light, you are the light, you are the light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light, we are the light of this world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. I am the light, I am the light, I am the light, I am the light in this world. I am the light, I am the light, I am the light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. We are the light, we are the light, we are the light in this world. Beautiful.
Yes. No. Anyway, I can speak loud. There we go. We are the light, aren't we? Yeah, we are. And that's why we come here, to access that light, to really turn it on, to get it brighter, to find tools that help us turn that light on rather than the darkness. And I'm so glad that you're here, and this is a time for conscious giving, and you all give in so many ways, whether it's, soundboard or greeting or just being kind to each other or in the kitchen. And it's all appreciated because that's what makes our community, that we each do our part. So if you choose to give, hold your gift to your heart. Know that it's always the flow of energy that we give and we get. And it's not anything bigger than that. It's just something that we feel in our hearts, either through our service or our treasure. And so it is.
So thank you all again for being here, and thank you for listening if you are in the virtual world. Just so appreciate that. And I just want to thank everybody that participated today. So many of you. Anne's not feeling well, but Mike is here, and Kurt is here, and Karen and Dick are here. So nobody's going to leave hungry if they don't want to today. So thank you for that. And then Steve and Mike working the sound booth back there. Thank you for all that you've done. We just greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Matt, I don't know who was greeting with you. Was somebody greeting with you today? Just you. Well, you're plenty. And so thank you, Matt. And thank you, Sherry and Noreen, for being in the bookstore. Andrea, thank you for everything that you've done today. I'm not even sure what it was. And our musicians, thank you guys so much, Lee and Jim. So if I've forgotten anybody, I apologize, because it's not because I don't like you. It's it's like you can put me on a lectern and I can talk all day long about one thing or another, If I have a planned talk, or if I know what I'm supposed to do, and then you take me out of that element, I'm like Rain Man. So it's just like... So anyway, so thank you all for being here today. Let's pray out. Happy autumn, happy Maybon, however you celebrate it, just enjoy it. And again, I'm going to offer three prayers today. The first is this mantra. And if you want to know the mantra, just come up to me after service and I'll point you in the direction for it, to learn it, to pray it. Gate, gate, paragate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. Say it with me if you'd like. Gate, gate, paragate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. Yeah, okay. That was enthusiastic, but pursue it on your own. And just... Gone, beyond the gone, even further than that, is the thing that I seek. It's the being that I am. And it's not when I get there. It is how I am traveling today. And so my prayer today is, may I walk with beauty in front of me, beauty behind me, beauty to my left, beauty to my right, beauty above me, beauty below me. May I walk the pollen path. May I recognize that there is a loving presence, almost thought of as a loving parent, because the love is so unrelenting, that is luring all of its creation into a greater experience of what it is, and that has invited you and I to participate in that to the degree that we say yes. So today and this week, may each and every one of us say yes to this experience of living generously. May we say yes to amazement and wonder and awe. May we say yes to being curious. May we say yes to loving more profoundly, seeking the joy. And may we say yes to practicing a year of self-love. May it be so. And so it is.
All right, this is a song I wrote when I was about early 20s, and I had a successful show, and I thought, this is it. I'm never going to be poor or worried again. And then the next week, I was figuring out how to pay rent and stuff, so I went and wrote this song. I'm like a kid chasing a rainbow. The closer I get, the longer it takes. I run through the mazes of my mind and find life is a series of good mistakes. I sink like a stone to the bottom of the sea. I never been, has been, about to erupt. Watching the clock was once my enemy. Under the water looking up, but time won't let me down. 'Cause good things come and good things go, but the more I grow, the more I know that time is a friend of mine. Maybe the best, the worst is yet to come. Maybe I'm drifting in between. There'll be a pain my threshold will never know. There'll be the sweetest love I've seen. Time won't let me down. 'Cause good things come and good things go, but the more I grow, the more I know that time is a friend of mine. That time is a friend of mine. Crashing through the Lego blocks, smash another matchbox bunk. Let's call it Jesse, back with spaghetti, yum, yum. Hey little girl, won't you revel in the world with eyes wide open? Yeah, don't you wanna say you did it when you're done? Yeah, I just wanna say I did it when I'm done. 'Cause good things come and good things go, but the more I grow, the more I know that time is a friend of mine. That time is a friend of mine. Thanks to Jim Jones for always doing whatever I throw at him. Thanks, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hey, that's perfect. Brilliant. Brilliant. You know that song, right? I think I've done it before. I might have done it before. It's on my album. You might have done it before. I never play it because it's like I never think of it, but it's like people have that CD here, like the CD from here. Like everyone has that one here, so I'm like, oh, I didn't know this one. It's cool. See, I never really play it, but people sing along. Yeah, cool. Bring it out of the repertoire more often.